Hey guys, Andre Adams here, IFBB Pro and NASM Master Trainer. As promised, I told you guys I would hop on here this week and talk a little bit about estrogen and testosterone during competition prep. We've got a whole lot of hormones going on in the body, but today we're going to focus really on these few. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about the source of some of these hormones, and then we'll kind of break apart the function and the approach for men and women, right? Let's start with androstenedione, right? That's produced in the adrenal gland. We've got testosterone, obviously, produced in the testes or the ovaries. And we've also got, of course, the conversion, right? So if we think about testosterone, it's either converting to DHT, which is not so good in the body. You know, it's one of the more potent hormones that flows throughout your body. We don't want a lot of that. And then, of course, estrogen conversion. So that's your testosterone to estradiol for men or estrogen in women. And that really happens via aromatase enzyme. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into it. Let's go through the potencies, right? So I mentioned DHT. If you were to rank these kind of high to low, DHT is the most potent. It's going to do the most damage in your body too. Going to give you a lot of unwanted symptoms like the balding, the hair loss, acne, masculinity or viralization in women. And then testosterone would be kind of in the middle, and then androstenedione would be at the end of that as the least potent. So with that, we'll kind of talk about total and free test, very high level here. You've kind of got this total bank of testosterone that's available in your body, but then you've also got the free test that's actually bioavailable for use in the body, right? So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this, and you know, if you're getting your labs, your blood work done, you can always look at both of those values because they're both important in different ways. If you are on TRT or HRT and you're doing, let's say, exogenous hormones, right? Medical grade testosterone, methyltestosterone, cypionate, things like this, generally that's going to inhibit testicular test, right? So your body is going to suppress some of those homeostasis levels because you're supplementing with it. So there's different things that you need to be conscious of or aware of, especially if you're doing a competition prep, just for general health reasons, also for maximizing performance, right? So some of the side effects of that would be suppressed luteinizing hormone and testicular atrophy. When you're on an extended cycle, right, or you're cycling off of TRT, then you would want to look at different post-cycle therapy options, which we'll talk about in a moment. Some of those things are herbal complexes that help stimulate luteinizing hormone, your body's homeostasis levels of test. Other things such as like clomiphene or tamoxifen citrate, HCG, these things can help reverse some of that testicular atrophy and get your body functioning back at a high level again. If we talk about, during a TRT cycle, if you've got excess testosterone, some of that's going to convert to DHT, some of it's going to convert to estradiol. So again, this kind of varies depending on the individual, and then some people just naturally are born and they're more sensitive to these things like gynecomastia and stuff like this. So you want to moderate and frequently get your labs done, your blood work done. If you are prone to excess estrogen conversion via aromatase, then you'll need a blocker or an inhibitor, right? So you might have to do like an anastrozole, which is also known as remedies, something like this to keep your estradiol numbers in check. And it's ratio. So you don't want to drop that all the way to zero, and then you have other unwanted effects like ED or something like this. So just again, constantly working with medical professionals such as Titan Medical Center to monitor your labs, your blood work, and optimize your total performance and health. Again, it's all about lifestyle, not just competition prep, right? Excessively high DHT levels, again, they give both men and women unwanted, unpleasant side effects. So there's actually a few really good supplements out there and therapies that will help moderate some of that DHT conversion. I know my good buddy Dave Palumbo has one. I think it's called Testalize by Species Nutrition that helps block some of the DHT conversion. And then there's also DHT derivatives, right? So things like Masteron that actually inhibit some of those conversions and also help keep estradiol or prolactin, things like this, in check. So again, just kind of understanding, working with the medical professionals to optimize your body specifically for some natural ways to increase your test. Again, also great for post-cycle-therapy. You should consider fenugreek, tribulus terrestris, D-aspartic acid. A lot of these things are going to be really great at helping to optimize your body's natural level of testosterone. And even women can use some of these things to keep their testosterone a little bit higher. And we'll talk about some natural herbal ways to moderate some of your estrogen as well. First Form has a good one too, Conquest HD, Primal Pack, Night Tea. All of these things work synergistically to, again, just really optimize your body's homeostasis level of testosterone. Let's talk about females a little bit. I know this is one of the biggest questions of a lot of female athletes that I work with, as you guys know, and hormones can be a challenge, right? So there's a lot of excess estrogen, we've got progesterone, we've got all these different hormones kind of circulating the body at different times of the day, different times of the month. So a little bit more complex. For women specifically, typically you'll see your estrogen spike overnight, right? So after you go to sleep, and then right before you wake up in the morning, that's usually when your estrogen is going to peak out. And then, of course, throughout your menstrual cycle, you're going to have that roller coaster ride. That's going to lead to all kinds of stuff from bloating and water retention, right, to mood swings. So these are all the things we want to avoid or moderate when we're on prep. Some of the best ways to do that would be through the use of, there's herbal complexes we'll talk a little bit about, such as like DIM. It's going to help moderate some estrogen just naturally. You've got other different kind of supplements that you can take as well, right? So there are medical grade therapies for women that have excessively high estrogen, or as you're aging, if you're at high risk for breast cancer, things like this, they might actually prescribe medical therapy such as anastrozole, remedies, tamoxifen, right? So Nolvadex. And these things have different purposes in the body. We'll kind of talk about those instances if you are general lifestyle or your competitor, premenopause or you postmenopause, right? So let's get into that a little bit. Also, I want to talk about women that are on bioidentical hormones. Those ratios will typically be closely monitored and optimized by your medical professional. So that's always first and foremost where you want to start. I can't stress that point enough, right? My partners at Titan Medical Center, www.titanmedicalcenter.com. You can always call or text 727-389-3220. Start there, get your blood work done, get some feedback from medical professionals, tell them what you're doing, right? If maybe it's just general lifestyle, you're trying to maximize your performance, whatever it might be, start there with that conversation. And then that's going to be your roadmap to what things you can adjust, if it's a medical therapy, if it's an herbal supplement, whatever it might be. With that said, a lot of women, let's also talk about self-prescribed, right? Let's be real. We're in the sport and you're doing a balancing act between your aesthetics and your physique, the way that you look and perform versus your health sometimes, right? So a lot of different pro-hormones and things like that are used, like Anavar. You've got Primobolan, you've got a lot of different things going on out there. And again, this is why I stress medical health first and foremost. But for you guys that are self-prescribing, you need to take that serious, right? And also understand what you're putting in your body and some of the impacts of that. Even things as basic as estrogen moderators, such as the tamoxifen we talked about, you'll typically see that one prescribed in premenopausal women versus postmenopausal, right? So you've got one that's inhibiting versus one that's blocking the aromatization, we'll call it, right? The conversion of testosterone to estradiol, which in that case for postmenopausal women, you're typically looking at something like anastrozole or letrozole, which is a little bit more potent. With that said, let's talk about some of the natural ways to remedy these things. You guys heard me mention DIM a little bit earlier. That's a good one. You can pick that up on Amazon by itself, but there's also some really good products out there. I know First Form has Harmony. That's a great one. I've got a lot of good feedback from women over the last few years on that. And it also has a full efficacious dose of DIM, plus a blend of other ingredients there that's gonna help just optimize your hormones. You'll even see that one in some of the men's therapies. I wanna say Primal T, because again, even guys, right? We don't wanna hold water and fat during competition prep. So in particular with women, if you can keep the estrogen in check and maximize or optimize, we'll call it, your ratio of testosterone and estrogen, you're going to get a better result. You're going to hold a little bit less extracellular water and fat through the hips, glutes, thighs, the pelvic area. It's going to help you lean out a little bit down the stretch. So again, you don't want to do anything extreme to your hormones. We're not trying to blow those up, but the importance of blood work will kind of tell you if you're excessively high. Here's some different things that you can do to moderate estrogen, get yourself a little leaner down the stretch. There's another good natural dietary supplement called a quercetin that you can use to limit or mitigate the amount of aromatase enzyme in the body. That's another great one for women if you're looking for a natural remedy to moderate estrogen, especially down the stretch of your competition prep. DIM, we mentioned earlier, about 200 milligram a day is a normal dosage, anywhere from 100 to 200. So again, check out First Form Harmony. You can go on Amazon. You can find some different standalone products. But all of these different things, by blocking some DHT conversion, by moderating your estrogen, and then just keeping track of your total testosterone to estrogen ratios throughout prep, it's going to help you come in a little bit harder, leaner, hold a little bit more muscle as you're at that caloric deficit heading into a competition. If you guys need any more information, feel free to reach out or hop on my website, www.andreadamsofficial.com. All right, guys.